Thank you for visiting the legendary Masterpiece channel today. We would appreciate it if you could use it for work or for sleeping down at night. Be sure to close your eyes when you're good night. Please play in the world of the work projected on the screen behind the eyelid. Then, we will open the store soon. Please take your time and relax. Spider's thread Akutagawa Ryunosuke. It's about one day. Oshaka-sama was walking around the edge of the lotus pond in paradise alone. The lotus flowers blooming in the pond are all white like balls, and from the golden glow in the middle, there is an indescribable good smell that overflows into the area. Let's say that paradise is just in the morning. Eventually, Buddha sat at the edge of the pond, and suddenly saw the situation below from the lotus leaves covering the surface of the water. The bottom of this lotus pond of paradise is exactly at the bottom of hell, so the crystal-like water is crystal clear, and the scenery of the Sanzu river and the mountain of the needle is clearly visible just as if you look at the peeping glasses. Then, the sight of a man called Kandata wriggling with other sinners stopped in his eyes at the bottom of the hell. This man called Kandata is a great Doro boy who killed people, set fire to houses, and did various evil things, but even so, I remember doing only one good thing. When this man passed through a deep forest, I saw one small spider crawling along the roadside. Therefore, Kandata immediately raised his foot and tried to step on it, but no, this is also small, but it must be something with life. It seems that anything is pitiful to say that it takes that life imperceptibly. This is because I suddenly thought back and finally saved the spider without killing it. While seeing the state of hell, Buddha remembered that the Skandata had helped spiders. Then the news that he did such a good thing made me think of rescuing this man from hell if I could. Fortunately, if you look at the side, there is a spider of paradise hanging a beautiful silver thread on a lotus leaf colored like jade. The Buddha gently picked up the spider's thread and sent it straight down from the space of white lotus like a ball to the bottom of hell, far below. This is Kandata, which floated and sank with other sinners in the blood pond at the bottom of hell. Regardless of which way you look at it, if you think that there is something that is completely dark and sometimes rises vaguely from that darkness, it is because the needles of the dreaded pile of needles glow. So there is nothing to say about the fineness of that heart. Above that, like the inside of a grave, what you can hear occasionally is just a subtle sigh of grief that a sinner makes. People who have fallen here are already tired of the various torments of hell, and they don't even have the power to cry. That's why, as expected, the great thief Skandata was just struggling, like a frog on the verge of death, while still bursting into the blood of the blood pond. It's a time when there's a point. When Kandata casually raises his head and looks at the sky of the pond of blood, the silvery spider thread shines in the quiet darkness from the distant heaven as if it were afraid of being hit by people. Isn't it going to hang on top of yourself if you do that? When Kandata saw this, she involuntarily clapped her hands and was delighted. If you stick to this thread and go as far as you can, you must be able to get out of hell. No, if you go well, you will even be able to enter paradise. If you do that, you won't be caught up to the mountain of needles anymore. There will be no chance that you will be submerged in the pond of blood. That's why I thought. Kandata immediately began to climb up and down hard while firmly grasping the spider's thread with both hands. Since it is a big thief from the beginning, we have been accustomed to saying this from a long time ago. However, there are tens of thousands of miles between hell and Gokuraku, so it is not easy to get out to the top of the place where I saw it with impatience. After a little while, Kandata got tired, and the other Saguri was no longer going up to the top. So there was no way, so I was going to take a break first. And while hanging in the middle of the thread, I looked down far below my eyes. Then, it was worth it to climb hard, and the pond I was in until a while ago is now already in the dark before I knew it. Then that horrible pile of needles that glowed underneath my feet. If you go up this minute, It may be unexpected that you will get out of hell. Kandata is a voice that has not been put out in years since I came here. While entangling both hands with spider threads, I made a big deal. I laughed. However, when you suddenly realize that there are countless sinners at the bottom of the spider's thread, after all, climbing up and down, as if it were an ant procession, wouldn't it? Kandata was surprised and frightened when I saw this, and for a while I was just moving my eyes with my big mouth open like a Buddha. Why can this thin spider thread, which even one person seems to cut, can withstand the weight of that many people? If you happen to be cut off in the middle, even this essential self who has come up to this point will have to fall back to the original hell. If such a thing happens, it's hard. However, even in that context, there are not hundreds, but thousands of sinners, crawling up from the bottom of the dark pond of blood, and the thin, glowing spider threads are coming up in a row. If you don't do something about it now, the thread must be cut in two from the middle and fall off. So Kandata made a loud voice and said, "Hey, sinners! This spider's thread is mine. Who the hell did you ask?" and went up. Go down, I shouted. That's the moment. The spider's thread, which had never been seen until now, suddenly broke out of the place where Kandata was hanging, making a loud noise. That's why Kandata is also irresistible. Soon after, I cut the wind, and as I watched it, it fell upside down to the bottom of the darkness while turning around like a top. Later, the spider thread of paradise is just hanging short in the middle of the sky with no moon or stars while shining brilliantly and finely. Buddha stood at the edge of the lotus pond of paradise and stared at this whole story. But when Kandata sank like a stone to the bottom of the pond of blood, again while making a sad face, I started walking around. From the eyes of Buddha, the ruthless heart of Kandata, who tried to get out of hell only himself, received a considerable punishment for that heart, and fell into the original hell. It seemed like an offense, I think. However, the lotus in the lotus pond of Gokuraku does not matter at all. The white flower, like a ball, moves the flickering calyx around the feet of Buddha, and from the golden glow in the middle, there is an indescribable good smell that cannot be said about it. Let's say that paradise is already close to noon. If you are a gentleman and a lady who says it was good, please give us a high rating and subscribe to the channel. Then it's again.